Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Faithfully Unfiltered podcast with Elle
and Nicole.
We're giggly.
Yeah, that was a funny little moment.
So today we wanted to talk about crushing and kind of the difference between crushing from, suffering and things that were going on in your life that you maybe latched on to other things, vices, if you will, as a result, and some of those things that we did. And then versus the crushing that happens when you're walking with Jesus. And I think that there's a misconception that once you find Jesus, everything's like perfect and everything's going to be great and like nothing's going to happen
forever.
Yeah, but the reality is you actually get crushed. And the reason is he's stripping you of all things that do not align with him and the will that he has for your life. And with that comes a lot of pain, but there's glory at the end of it, and there's beauty in it. And he's not doing it for his enjoyment. Like he's not just like, I want her to suffer a little bit. I just want to see her pay.
Right.
I just want to see her whatever. No, he's
God.
doing it for a reason, and he's sovereign through that all. And there's a purpose at the end of it.
It's like the saying, I actually have a tattoo, the beauty from ashes.
Yeah.
So when you die of your old self, the beauty that rises from that is beautiful.
Well, it's even like in the story of Jesus, like how he's so anxious, like when he knows he's going to be crucified. He knows what God's will is for his life to the point where he's even asking, like, if there's any other way, like, don't let this happen to me. Like he himself even didn't necessarily want to, but he was so committed to God's will and God's plan and what he had for him that he went to the cross anyways and
even
decided.
felt him, like his face, he wasn't even looking at Jesus. He felt the furthest from God in that moment. And he's still.
But he said, let your will be done. Like, so, but then the glory of, on the third day when he rose, like now he defeated it. He did it. You know what I mean? The most soul crushing thing that could have ever happened, but there was still glory at the end of it. So we all have those stories, hopefully, and maybe not everybody. But so we just wanted to get more into, sorry, did you have anything to say?
No, I
about
think
that?
it's like going into the scripture and then we'll.
So I was really thinking of Proverbs 17:22 that says, a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. And I was curious if there's any part in your life, because like I said, kind of talking about the difference, like there is a difference between that crushing that happens for his purpose, but then also there's seasons that we might go through where it's just suffering that kind of leads us down the wrong paths, maybe leaves us confused where we have questions or anything. And I know I experienced that for sure with all the deaths in my family and just family trouble mainly, I would say, and feeling very lost. So what would you say?
I definitely have family stuff that I could touch upon. I think what makes me relate most to, especially in the verse that you just referenced, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. There was a really lengthy bad relationship that I was in that genuinely crushed me and brought me down to literally nothing, where I was like physically skin and bones. Like it didn't even just crush me spiritually and mentally and emotionally, it physically brought me down. Where I was like the smallest I ever weighed, just so unhealthy. And at that point, that's kind of when I started my relationship with God, was like kind of relatively closer to that point than anything else in my past. But before that relationship, and even in times where we broke up and I wasn't with him, and then that was like the happiest me. Like that was like the cheerful Nicole that everyone knew me as. But there's certain things that you're brought through. And I always wondered, even now, I'm like, why was I put in that position? Why was I in this terrible relationship for 9 years? Like, why did I need to be brought through that? But I would not be who I am right now if that didn't happen. So in the moments of when you're going through such heartache and low moments and all of those times, you're confused and you're mad and you don't get it. But then when you look back on it and you realize what you've overcome from it, you realize you had to go through that in that moment.
I love that. It's so true.
How deep do we want to go into
Well,
that?
as deep as we want. Who cares?
Do you want more details?
Yeah, I want as many details as you're comfortable sharing.
So, I guess I was so fake in that relationship. Could I just say there was a part of me where you would never know that I was in a terrible relationship. Like you would not have known, because I was a dance teacher like at the time too. So I was around young children where I had to be upbeat and happy, and everyone would always be like, you're so happy, you're so confident. Like I would have students that look up to me like, I want to be just like you, I want to live the life that you live. And then I would sit with that at night and like, you don't want to live like the life that I'm living. Like I'm living such a lie. I'm the worst version of myself. I'm so angry. I'm so quick to react when something isn't given to me that I want.
Yeah.
I was so quick to anger. I was just mad at everything, mad at myself. I hated myself. I hated looking at myself. I hated the person that I was with. I hated just everything. And I hated my family. It bled into my family. It bled into my friends. It bled everywhere. And that's when I realized, like, I was dead inside. Like, and I would drink, like, every night with that person. That's, like, the vice that I had. I was drinking a lot. There was a lot of like sexual stuff like happening too with them, where I feel like that was like a vice in that relationship.
Yeah.
And like sex and drinking, like all of those things can just they don't equal good things.
Right.
And I realized I was genuinely dead inside. But then on the flip side, I would act like I was the happiest I ever been. But I think that's why, like with this verse, a cheerful heart is good medicine, obviously, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. I literally went down to nothing because I had such a crushed spirit. And because I was with somebody that gave off like demonic soul. Yeah. Like I was I feel like I can say that.
Yeah.
So that's where I was down a really dark path at that point. And that's kind of like my biggest darkness that I've overcome.
Like that was your darkest hour, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And just kind of touching on that, like, I think you can see, right, because it says the eyes and the ears are the key to the soul. And I always say that as, like, you know, the things you're watching and the things you're listening to, which is true. We do have to be careful of, like, you know, the different entertainment that we're taking in, because it's going to affect us more so just like your mood, if anything. But then like once you're listening to it, right, like I even think of like how it's so intentional, like even down to like restaurants and grocery stores, like they're turning on fast-paced music for restaurants because they want you in and out so they can get as many people buying. But grocery stores, they're turning on, like all of that stuff is so intentional, and people don't realize that like the music you're listening to, everything that you're watching, but also looking into someone's eyes can tell you a lot. It's literally like a window. So when you're looking at somebody that they just have no
soul in them.
Literally,
no life
like
in
it's
their
like
eyes.
blackness. It's dark behind the eyes. And even if you can put on all this glowy makeup and all of these things, but at the end of the day, like if you look deep enough, like you don't see that sparkle.
Yeah, you can see the sad eyes.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what comes back, like finding Jesus, is that you have that life in your face. You have that life in your eyes once you start to realize like, oh, like this is what it's about. And I think that you touched on a good point, because especially right now in young relationships, like it is so, this is awkward, but whatever, like it is so prominent to just be sleeping with your boyfriend. Like you're dating, okay, like we're sleeping together, it doesn't matter. Like especially in high school, that was a thing. And it was almost like,
honestly, not even dating the person.
Yeah,
It's
but I do think like specifically with relationships, it was like your relationship was not viewed as like valid if you weren't sleeping together. Like it wasn't viewed as like a real relationship. Like it was like, oh, you haven't even slept together, who cares?
Right.
You know what I mean? Which is kind of telling, because like, yeah, kind of, you know what I mean? It is a lot easier to get rid, like not get rid of someone, but to walk away from maybe an unhealthy situation.
If you didn't have that.
When you're not bonded like that, because it is specifically designed for marriage. And I think people think, oh, it's so like old school or whatever, but if you really look at it, it's so true. And what you were touching on, like that it is a vice, it's based in lust and not love, because it's supposed to be such a sacred thing where you're saving it for the person that you're planning to be with for the rest of your life. And it's meant to be a bonding experience where new life can literally be created from it. And, but like I said, I think when you're in that society and everybody's just normalizing it, like that used to be something that actually like brought people shame, you know what I mean? Like we didn't live that experience, but that used to be very real, and it's not anymore. But, and I think that what's always been missing is that people are viewing it as a rule. That's what I've noticed in all of like people who are either against Christianity or that are in Christianity but are more living in like a legalistic way of just like, you can't do this, you have to do this, whatever. And instead they're not viewing that it's just like the truth of like God has it for a reason. So he designed everything for a reason, and we are the ones that take it out of context, and then we wonder why things don't work out well. You know what I mean?
It becomes a mess.
Yeah, or when you're trying to break free from that, how painful it is. You know what I mean? Because you've just done something that's supposed to be a bonding experience and is, whether you like it or not.
Right.
And now you're trying to rip that apart. It's actually not meant to be ripped apart. It's supposed to be shared in that beautiful way. I don't know where all that came from, but
no, yeah,
that's where my heart was going. And I can definitely relate. You know, I also had, you know, my relationship that I'm even in now at a point was so toxic. You know what I mean? And we were kind of touching on this before where it's like sometimes, like in your case, that was something you needed to get out of.
Yeah.
You needed to break free from it. And that does happen, right? There's other times where God can restore something that's already, you know what I mean, that maybe has had a similar, we didn't have like obviously abuse like that, but still toxic patterns for sure. Yeah. From both of us. And so God was still able to move, but one person has to be obviously obeying at least, and then the other person follows suit, right? And so I just thought that that was really cool because it's so true when you're crushed. And for me, my issue is that he was my like crutch. He was the person that I was like, well, I can't lose this person because then I'm like losing myself in a way. My identity was being found in him. And I felt like if I lose him, then I lose everything. And that was the issue for me, was that I needed to put my foundation on Jesus.
Right.
And then everything follows suit. So kind of just touching on that, we kind of like mix these together. But just touching on the idols and the vices.
Did you want to go into yours?
What?
Talk about your feeling of anything from your childhood. I know you said you were, or you want to just go right into the other one?
I feel like I like said it. I mean, like I could definitely touch just a little more, but I feel like I've kind of said it all you can imagine. You know what I mean? Like I lost my dad. Like I had that missing piece. And I did always feel very crushed as a kid, especially after that happened and like as a teenager. And that kind of plays into why I was using those idols and vices. But like I said, for me, I think it was more of an identity issue than it was like a specific vice. I think I was literally finding my identity in people and in things because I was searching for like that love. You know what I mean? But I'll just read this really quick because Jeremiah 17:9 says, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" And I think that in the culture, everybody loves to say, like, follow your heart, do what you love, do what you want. And that is so against what the Bible's saying. And that's why it's so uncomfortable because you have the culture in the society, like I said, where everything is just normalized. Like all of that is normalized and people are telling you, follow your heart, follow yourself. But then you're realizing that there's no amount of the world that's satisfying you. And nothing that you're getting, like you're getting that temporary satisfaction, like it's not really sustainable. And so it's so different from like what you're being told your whole life.
Because want to know what's funny too? How many times have you been in this situation with like, not your husband now, but in past bad relationships or bad environments, whatever, and your heart is longing for this person, but your mind is like, be so for real right now. Like, this is not good for you. Like, you know, this is not going to work long term, blah, blah, blah. So it's like you're fighting your head, your logic, God's voice at that point too. That's what I like to imagine it as now too. But, and then your heart, though, feeding, like, is your flesh. You think that you need to follow your heart because that's what everyone says to do. And it's never the way that your heart
Right.
should go. Like, you should have listened to the voice in your head of, okay, maybe let's go the other way.
And that's kind of the point, is like you're called to like trust what the word says over your feelings. But like we're living in a world that's saying trust your feelings.
Right.
We're wondering why people are lacking discipline because they're going wishy-washy. And I love to think about how like not you, I'm saying like in general, anybody cannot be trusted because you go up and down.
Right.
Like you're constantly changing
We're
based on
human.
how you feel. If you're tired, you don't want to go to the gym. If you're feeling motivated, you want to go to the gym. It's wishy-washy. It's not sustainable. There's no discipline in that. But like when you trust that what God is saying over how you feel, that's when you can really see the difference, right? And I also love that it says, who can know it? Because it's so true. We all think that we're doing something good. We all think we're doing something right. He's like, no, you don't understand because you can't see what I see.
Right.
Even going into more like Isaiah, where it's saying my thoughts are higher than your thoughts. My ways are higher than your ways. He's saying like, you don't see what I see. You're trusting this. And this is why we get so mad when we don't get our way with God. But he's like, I see things you don't see. Even if what he sees is you're obsessing over that thing. Even if that thing is not necessarily bad or sinful, but he can see that it's consuming us. He's like, I can't give this to you because you're going to ruin it because you want it so bad. I have to wait until you don't care if you have it or not, and then I can bless you with it. But yeah, so what do you think?
I was going to say, to touch on kind of where I was leading to with that bad relationship. So I kept thinking that I loved this person too. I kept thinking like my heart is in the right place, or he'll change and he'll be better and blah, blah, blah. And I kept trying to force it or like believe what I was being told. So how you're saying you have to trust in what he's going to put you through, whether you want it or not. So there was an incident that happened that it was like my final straw with my ex, and I was kind of forced out of it because I knew I couldn't be in it any longer at that point.
Yeah.
And I was kind of forced out of it. And also at that point, then that's when my family found out about abuse. And once it kind of got out there, I was like, okay, there's no going back. Even at that point, I felt like I wasn't ready to let go. My God knew that I needed to let go at that point. And at the moment, I was so frustrated and confused because I'm like, did I really want to be done? Do I not want to be done? But in those moments is when the frustration and the confusion all gets answered down the line, because you're like, if I didn't leave then, I could be dead. If I didn't leave then, who knows what could have happened.
It was like his timing.
Yeah, his timing will come out, and if you don't trust in the moment, it's hard because I didn't have God at the time. And so, but I had like these voices in my head that was like, you're gonna be okay. Like this needed to happen. And I think now looking back, like that was God's reassurance to me. But it's hard when you don't have Jesus in those moments. So it's like, what do I do? Like, how do I get out of this? And I think if you have any room in your body or in your mind to even, because this is for people who, again, don't have Christ in these moments. So I feel like if there is those thoughts in your head or feelings in your body that are telling you even the slightest bit of like, this needs to happen, then like that could be God's little whisper, like to you.
Yeah, for sure. And trusting, and sometimes I can't remember if you're not comfortable sharing it. Like, what was the exact thing that you were saying where you were kind of forced out of it? Like,
it was and
you don't have to say it.
No,
I was trying to bring it to something else.
So there was like the final act of like his abuse on me, and I ended up calling my family and saying that it was happening like at that moment. And then that's when my family came. And I knew at that point, after I told my family, like he just put his hands on me. Like I knew there was no turning back after that. It's like when you finally tell your family, like he cheated on me. It's like your family's not going to look at this person the same. Back. Like there's no going back. And at that point, I didn't even know what I was doing in the moment. I didn't even like know that I was grabbing my phone to like call. Like after
it was just like
the
more
phone
like
call
ended,
like, I was like, oh my God, this just ended. And it was 9 years just like ending right in my face of like, okay, like now what? Like type of thing. But it ended for me.
Right.
I feel like he ended it for me.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't letting go.
Right.
But then
like it almost needed to.
Yes.
Because you wouldn't have made that decision of like, okay, I'm going to walk away now.
Right.
It needed
But then
to be like a blow up situation.
How you reference, like, he can't work until you surrender and let it die and like fully let it down or lay it down. That's when like I started healing and being by myself and working through all the things that I've been through. And like I was telling you before we started, like I fully got to the point where like maybe I'm just not meant to be in a relationship. And if I just need to be single and alone, like I'm fine with whatever God's plan is for me because he sees it. If I'm just supposed to be an aunt and like a friend and a daughter, like so be it.
Yeah.
And then, but in my heart, of course I wanted a relationship and a family and to be a mom. Like that's, of course I want all those things. And
but can I say something?
Yes.
I think that was the difference, was that it was more of like a desire of your heart rather than like a desperate, like I need this because what am I without it?
Right.
Like it was, I believe it was even put there by God because he was putting those there to be like, no, I still have this for you. But like I need to work on you first, you know?
And
which
he
I think
did.
is so wonderful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beauty from ashes. I was dead. Like I had no sense of purpose at that point in my life. And especially when it ended, like, yes, it was such a terrible relationship, but I put so much of myself into that. And like I didn't know myself without this person. And I didn't know myself without the abuse and the pattern of that. Like that was normal to me.
Yeah.
So then coming out of that, and just being soulless and then being risen up and being fully content in whatever my future was held, then he was able to work. And then he was able to send me someone that is patient and loving and kind and would never bring me pain. And
well,
bring
you're
me
learning
those
his
things.
love.
Right.
So when you learn his love, you know what you will or won't tolerate from someone else. And that's an intimate relationship. You know what I mean? Somebody like that. It's not just like a random person that like they're mean and you're like, oh, whatever. You know what I mean? Even though it still happens. Like I'll be honest, in like my relationship, like we still have like days, especially with kids, because you're burnt out and you're tired and like there's work and there's money and there's like other things that are like life is piling on top of it. But that person sees like the real you. Like no matter what, like that person is going to see like the real, raw, unfiltered, uncovered.
Right. 24/7
yes,
you.
like you burnt out, you exhausted, you sleep deprived, you in distress, you in a good mood, in a bad, like everything is going to be seen in that intimate relationship. And for us, like I said, it was more like unlearning those patterns. But for me, I had to walk backwards. Like I think you had like where it was like dead and then you like walked up.
Yep.
I had to like walk back.
Right.
Because I didn't have a choice. I was already like in this relationship. I had kids, like it was already so like, so that was actually really stressful for me because I didn't know what that looked like, because I was like, well, I was like, what do you mean? Like, how do I do this? Because I'm such like a perfectionist and like by the book where like I need everything to be like exactly. And I think that was even intentional for him to do, of like, nope, it's actually going to be really messy. And like, I need you to just keep walking, because this is even not, I'm literally just realizing this as I'm saying it out loud, because I have that perfectionism, like he needed to work through that messiness of like, nope, you're actually going to do everything backwards because I'm still going to work with you and I'm still going to work through it. So instead of having a clean slate, where that's ideally what I would like as a human, because I just like starting over, even like stupid paper, like when I mess up a word, I like to rip it out and start over. Like that's just how I am. I need everything to be exactly how it's supposed to be. And so to have him not do that and to be like, no, you're actually going to just have kids already, and then your kids are going to live a certain way, then we're going to go this way instead. And I'm like, okay, but I don't know.
This is very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
like
it
what
is.
are you doing? Yeah.
Or, you know, because I remember my husband being like, I don't know who you are right now. Like that was a weird season, because he was like, I don't know who you are. And I was like, I don't know who I am either. I don't know what's going on. Like I was like, you think I want to feel like this? I'm like, I feel so uncomfortable. I'm like, I feel like my life was completely just flipped upside down. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. I'm having these convictions that I didn't even know. I didn't even know what conviction was. I just was like, my body's rejecting everything that is happening. Like the way we were just living, full stop. Like I was just like, this is just not for me anymore. Like I can't, and I couldn't explain what was going on. I literally was like, I don't know, to the point where, you know, I actually want to tell this story because I think it's important.
Yeah.
Because anybody who knew me in high school knows that I was head over heels in love with Beyonce.
Oh
Like,
my gosh, this story.
unhealthily obsessed with her. Like, I was like, she was like my queen.
She was your idol.
She was my idol. Literally, that was my idol. I had seen her 4 times in concert. At the time before that, it was 3 times in concert.
She was like your whole personality.
She like literally was. I was such a fool. I used to literally lock Haley in my bedroom and like do the choreography for her. It's so embarrassing. I used to literally doing choreography, and she'd be like,
okay,
literally like a 5-year-old, like watch my dance. And so, but anyways, I had been gifted Beyonce tickets for my birthday, which I was very grateful for, because even I know that was obviously given. And at the time I was living, I would say, as a closet Christian. I did not tell anybody that I was like following Christ.
I was going to say, what year was this? How many years ago?
Oh my gosh. Thena was born, I think 3 years
ago. I wanted to say 3, yeah.
Maybe 2. No, it had to have been like 2 years ago, because
Okay.
I don't think I was even like following Jesus at all at that time.
Okay.
So it was probably my birthday 2 years ago. And I was gifted those tickets in Toronto. And I remember I had stopped listening to like secular music, but again, I didn't tell anybody. I was just kind of like doing it on my own. And then I was like, well, I should go. It's so funny because it was such a pivotal moment. And like the enemy really capitalizes on that like in between stage. He's trying to get you to do everything, because he's like, no, it's okay. You can still do this. So I wasn't like strong and I wasn't like firm or anything. But I remember I got gifted the tickets and I was like, all right, let's go. This will be good for us. Like I was like, you know, we'll go out on a weekend and we'll like kind of chill. And I kind of needed a break. It was just like there was a lot going on. So I was like, let's just go. So we go. The entire ride, I'm literally like silent and I'm skipping every song. Like Patchy's like turning on all different songs and I'm like skipping them all, only stopping on like worship songs. And he's like, what is good with you? Like, what is happening? I was like this in the car. Like I was just physically uncomfortable. And he was like, are you good? And I was like, yeah, like I'm fine. Like, what do you mean? We went to the aquarium. That was cool. We were like hanging out for the weekend. Like we did fun stuff still, but then it was like,
it's still in the back of your head, like you knew what you were going
I
there
knew,
for.
like my body was rejecting it, but I was still doing it. And I was like, okay. So I like got ready. I got all cute. And then I was like, all right, maybe I'm just being like a weirdo. Like I'm a mom. Like maybe I'm just.
Like just go have fun.
I just need to go be like my old self, like whatever. So I like get all cute. We go to the concert. I'm literally sitting there and I'm just like, I kept having these like feelings of just like, I should not be here right now. Like I was having like literal conviction just sitting there. And then all of a sudden the lights came down and she like comes out in this like white dress. And I was like, okay. But the way that she was like walking around and the way that she was like smiling, I literally could see like past her face. It was the freakiest thing. Like, I know no one's gonna believe me, but like, I don't care. I could like see past her face and I was just like, this is like all fake. Like I just saw right through it. And all of a sudden, the way people were throwing themselves on her and she's like grabbing everybody. Like I was like, she like thinks she's like this God. Right. You know what I mean? Like people are like bowing down and like worshiping her. I used to be one of them. And then all of a sudden, the whole concert felt like a sacrifice. Like everything was dark and red and everything was like the freaky interludes. Like I was just like, what is going on? And there would be moments where I'd be like singing my heart out and I'm like, oh, this is fun. Then I'd be like, what the hell is going on? Like what is going on? And then the next day I was like listening to this one song and I remember this one part because once I found Jesus, he started to like highlight certain parts of songs where like people are like being blasphemous or like saying certain things. And I remember she said, I charge my crystals in a full moon. And it just like shot at me. Cause I remember like going home and being like, was that real? Like, did I really feel like that? Was I just being a weirdo? Like, I'll just be cool. Like, just, why can't you just be normal? I literally remember thinking that. I'm like, why can't I just be like a normal human that just like goes to a concert and chills out? And that shot out to me. And I just remember being like, I always knew that like doing like all the crystals, like that was like witchcraft. So I was like, oh my gosh, like she's a witch. And then all of a sudden I started to like listen to different testimonies about people that talking about her sister or whatever. That's going down a whole rabbit hole. But anyways, that was kind of what were we talking about before this? I got lost in the story, but I felt like I really needed to share it.
I think, I mean, that was like a vice and an idol that you were saying.
Yeah.
I don't know, that kind of goes into like your new heart. Like that wasn't meant for you anymore.
Yeah. It was like a dying, it was like a dying moment for sure. because that was like, she was my person that I was obsessed with.
You were talking about your relationship before.
I was, and saying going backwards. And, but yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about it. Just relearning, relearning new patterns and not having everything be how I wanted it.
Yeah.
You know? But I'm happy now that that happened, because
of course.
It's also taught me a lot, and I think it's also taught him a lot, because we forget that, like, yes, people do us wrong, but God even he wants to forgive those people and give them a fresh start too.
Right, the redemption that they want.
So, yeah. Now I'm lost.
No, Ezekiel.
Okay, so we know God gives us a new heart, and he doesn't just leave us. He doesn't just forgive us. He wants us on a new, fresh path where we're living more for him and not for ourselves. But it says a new heart also, Ezekiel 36:26 says, a new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. So I feel like I was just talking for a while. So if you want to go and just talk about maybe how your heart has softened in ways.
So it kind of ties into another scripture. Did we read 1 Peter?
Not yet.
Okay, we can kind of go into that after. But I think this one speaks to me in a way that when you have a heart in Christ and when you have a heart of the world, you move entirely different. So if we're talking still about idols and vices, I feel like my old heart, because my heart was so tainted and damaged and hurt people. Like, that is just out there, especially when you aren't in Christ, because you don't have, like, the fruits of the Spirit with you. You don't know how to treat others. You don't know how to treat yourself and everybody around you. So I feel like when I had a heart of flesh, I was definitely moving in a way of bringing others down. If I heard something negative about myself, I could say something negative about them and, like, one up and bring myself lower of a standard because I was getting hurt, or I was trying to feed my heart in a negative way, obviously.
Could it be, like, labeled as, like, vengeance? Like, you wanted vengeance yourself?
Yes, of course. So then when you start transitioning into that, I was mentioning to you earlier, there was a person in my life that was a friend and did me wrong in numerous ways. And I got to a point where they were one of the first people that I would think about in prayers. And not in a way of, like, one-upping them, or if I pray for them, I'll just feel better about myself or whatever. I genuinely know that he can move my heart and soften my heart because I've seen it happen in my life, that he could do that for them. Because I see now, as someone that has a restored heart, I just see someone that's hurt and just needs to be uplifted or needs something healed in them, whether it's a father wound, and mostly they are of some way a father wound.
It always goes back to childhood for
something,
sure.
Something from your early childhood. And it's funny because God always, and it's referenced a couple times, where God just wants to see you, like, as a happy kid. Like, that's what he sees us as his daughters and sons of Christ. And we are meant to be happy and playing and joyful and laughing. And when we're hurt as those kids, that just follows us. If you never come to terms with it, if you never grieve it, if you never mourn it, if you never learn from it, if you never heal from it, it's always going to be in you, and you're going to have a tainted heart, and that is going to lead into all of the vices that we've talked about and all of the false idols that you fall into and worshiping. But I think what began softening my heart was, I don't even know. I think I can't even remember what began softening my heart. I want to
say really quick, I think what really helped both of us was our prayers, like, with each other.
Yeah.
I think that was so intentional by God.
Honestly,
because we were in a constant state of, number one, confession, and number two, supporting each other.
Can I add another one?
Yeah.
We were very obedient with it.
There
was, like, I couldn't start my work day if my day would feel wildly off if we didn't start the day like that.
But we were, if you think about it, like it just came to my mind. I'm like, we were in a constant state of confession and correcting each other or just supporting each other. Like,
So you just answered where it started for me.
Well,
so
that's
thank
what
you.
I was thinking of was I was like,
Yeah.
because I remember that time we were both praying for this person and you were genuinely trying to like forgive, like even in the hard moments, because there were still things that were happening like behind the scenes and like you were not trying to stoop. I remember you literally calling me like, I just need to call you because like I'm really angry.
Yeah, and
that's
don't,
okay, right? Like you're like, I need this support because like I don't want to act like this person, but I'm being tested right now. Like,
wait, I do want to touch on that. So there was temptation in the way of like the enemy saying like, just put out a petty post or just say something petty or just stoop to their level or whatever.
One thing,
And I literally remember fighting my flesh so hard. And then I remember just bawling my eyes out because I was just like frustrated with feeling this way. And that's why it's so important, I think, when you surround yourself with people of Christ or have similar passions and beliefs in you, because I remember I called you and you are a mom, but you are someone who will, if someone is calling you, like you answer, like you are just that person where I don't care if I hear your kids in the back screaming, like you will pick up.
Right.
So
like, sorry, I'm cooking dinner and my kids are fighting, but
but like, how are you? What's going on? And I remember you just bringing me down biblically too. Like, it wasn't just like just calm down, I'm here, just whatever. Like you were quoting scripture, you were reminding me of his word, you're bringing me back down to a level head, and that's like what I needed.
Right. Oh, it's so
and
funny.
that's how your heart though softens, and then those actions, and I had it written down to say, but like the repetitiveness of actually doing it and not stooping down to that level, but actually fighting it and moving in a way that God wants you to, and how you should be acting in situations, those start to become second nature. And then it's not going to happen right away. Do you know how many times I still fight my flesh? Like it's still daily. To this day. Yes. Like in my relationship, there's still triggers that I was in from my past relationship that I'm still trying to fight off. But it's not, if I'm surrounded with the right person, if I have the right friends, if I have the right partner, you're able to work through that because you have God in as the center of it. And you confess to him, you go to him, you ask him to help you, you ask him to work through that. So then he's going to keep, and I also had this, he's going to keep putting you in certain scenarios or bring certain issues to light to show your true intentions of your heart, to see if your heart is actually in the right in spots, and he sees it. So it's like, if you try to fool it, like you can't fool God. So you can't be like, I'm just going to act like I'm fine with this. But like have you ever, this actually, it happened to me the other night where I was like, no, I'm not mad about it. Like, it's fine. Like,
but you're actually mad.
But I'm actually mad about it. So then my boyfriend was like, just tell me like what you're feeling. And I'm like, no, like it's fine, whatever. And my heart literally felt like on fire, because it was like, you need to just get this out, just say it, just say what's going on. And then you say it, and it's like a breath of fresh air. And it's like, that's what God calls you to do, essentially, when you are wanting a new fresh start and a new, when he blesses you
partner
with
it.
Yes.
It's like you're on the same whatever. But that kind of is good to go into 1 Peter 5:10, and the God of all grace who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you've suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. And I think that that's basically what you're saying, is like the way that he's doing that sometimes is he's putting you in those situations. Like, you pray for patience, he gives you an opportunity to be patient. He doesn't just say, okay, you can have patience today.
Right, you're just going to be patient for
He's like, no, that's actually, it's like a muscle. Like, you have to work it out. You have to actually practice it practically, you know? And I used to think, this is so weird, I used to think that like following Jesus was like separate from my life, if that makes sense, and that I just had to like only go this way and that's him and that's it. But no, like he's in the middle with you. Like I used to be like, oh, I'm a mom right now, but I can't wait to go away and pray and go read my Bible so that I can like be on a good path with Jesus. And it's like,
following Jesus is your life.
Yes, and it is an opportunity. There's no better place he'd want me to be than with my kids practicing and bringing them into like worship and prayer and all of those things. Like, that's where he wants me. But he does that through that learning process of like, no, I'm going to, you know, as a mom, I'm praying for patience. Okay, tomorrow's going to be a rough day. I already know that when I wake up. You know what I mean? And I'm going to have an opportunity to either be patient and choose that path or let my flesh win. And the triggers happen, and I think it's a good opportunity to remember that we are human and we're gonna fall, and it's a good opportunity to practice forgiveness, right? To forgive other people or to apologize
just gonna say
and
this,
say
yeah.
like, I'm really sorry that I did this. You know what I mean? And I think that goes a little bit into like what we were saying before, is that like people paint Jesus as like this happy-go-lucky, like, oh, Jesus loves everyone and just being kind to everybody. But there's because life is like messy and it's really not always fun. Sometimes you have to like get in the dirt. You know what I mean? And it's difficult to forgive people. Like, it's not like an easy thing to just like forgive. And like you said, how God sees your heart, like you can say you forgive people all you want, but until God has actually moved in your heart, until God has actually like removed it and actually helped soften you through you praying and asking and practicing, it's nearly impossible. You know what I mean? Like, and I wouldn't say don't say it. Of course you should say, I forgive this person, I forgive this person. But it's kind of, you have to be relentless, where you're kind of showing up and just being like, and being honest with God. I don't forgive this person, but I want to. Like, help me. And that's how we're more dependent on him. But it's a command. Like, it's actually a command from him that he's saying, if you don't forgive people, my Father's not going to forgive you. And I think sometimes after we find Jesus, we become, what is the word? Like, we think we deserve his mercy. And so we have to live in this constant state of like, we don't deserve his mercy just like the next person. Like, the only reason we go to heaven is because of his grace.
I love that.
And if we ever fall into a point where like we think that we're working for that, or that we're just good people and everyone else are bad people, that's not true. You know what I mean? And he's saying, no, you actually have to forgive people, or I'm not going to forgive you. If you don't forgive people, I'm not going to forgive you, because you don't deserve it and neither do they. But I'm still merciful and gracious and kind, and I will. But you got to work with me here, you know? So what would you say was your hardest, now we're going to be a talk show.
Okay.
What would you say was your hardest, like, person to forgive? Or situation, you don't need to say the person.
The one that I'm happy that the relationship was redeemed was my dad. But that one was a struggle to forgive, because he actively chose to leave my life while I was begging for it. So that led into relationship issues and whatnot. But my father, that's a relationship, if he's living, like, you want to maintain. Like, that's something that you long for. Most people long for, hopefully, to keep that relationship with your dad. So me begging over and over again, mind you, disclaimer, we are just touching on again, we're good now. I love my dad. I love the relationship that I have with him. But there was a point in many situations that I begged him to come to town, see me. He let me down time and time again, promised he was going to show up. Never, he said he was there, wasn't there. Like, there were numerous occasions of that. And when he would come into town, like once every couple years, I would sit with him and he would see me in such different seasons. So there was a point where he saw me at, say, 10, then saw me at 13, then saw me at 16. And you're different people even at that point. Every like 6 months, you're like a different person.
Right.
So every time he saw me, I was like more and more angry, because he didn't know who I was in all that amount of time. And then when you're constantly begging someone to be in your life that doesn't want to be in your life, you're like, why can't I be loved? So that was my biggest thing of trying to forgive him when he was actively trying to be back in my life. And I will say, my aunt passed away, his sister. And from that day of her funeral, there hasn't been a day after, since a few years ago, that we have not like spoken. Every single day we've talked since that death. And I think that's also another thing, is like beauty from ashes, is in like, yes, my aunt passed away. In this situation, she was in a lot of pain, so it's a blessing that she was able to pass, so she was out of that pain. But the beauty in the relationship that came from that death is something that I'm very thankful for, because I wouldn't have the relationship with him that I did without that happening. And it took a lot of his effort and a lot of his repetitiveness of like actually showing up for that forgiveness to happen. And I kept holding on to like, oh, I'll disappoint him, or like
Yeah.
he'll want to see me and I won't see him. Like I kept thinking that, but then I was like, I can't do that. Like my heart couldn't do that. Like I wasn't going to be like that. But once I saw the genuine effort was when I was able to forgive. But it was really hard because I had a lot of resentment still built up. I had a lot of questions that I really didn't feel like I was getting a lot of like answers for, or I was getting like my mom's side and then my dad's side, and like they weren't equaling out as to like why he was leaving and all those things. So
That's
it was
hard
confusing. Yeah, it was confusing. It was hard. But that was definitely, I think, my hardest forgiveness.
Okay.
What was yours?
To be honest, I think because I had very low, I would say, confidence. And I kind of, it was weird. I went from projecting everything and blaming everyone else for everything to then finding Jesus and then blaming myself for everything. So I didn't really have that like level-headed, like, okay, there's both things are true. And I would say like that's beautiful that now I can do that. Like I'm always that person that's like, let's look at the other side. Like I'm always trying to see things from like both people's point of view. And I think without that, I wouldn't have been able to get that perspective. But definitely I became very resentful. And so I think the person I had to forgive, which is, I hate being like cringy and saying this, because again, like I love her to death, like, but my mom, like I held on a lot of resentment. Some of it was fair and some of it was not fair. Like some of it was, it wasn't her fault. And I'm like almost faulting her for something that like she had no control over. But then other things were just ways that she maybe let me down, that I maybe needed her in a certain way and she wasn't willing to show up as that person or whatever. And whether it was from pride or she just didn't have the tools, whatever it was. But that was definitely the one other person I would say I had to forgive. And then I would say the next person was really me. That's been the toughest person to forgive because I still struggle with like guilt and shame of like doing things. And then it's that battle of like making excuses for a second and then knowing I can't make excuses because I'm still the one that did it. And I constantly battle. That's kind of where my flesh battles is like, I always want to blame someone else, but then I have to come to those terms of like either it's my fault or it's not really anyone's fault and there's no one to really blame. And you just kind of have to keep like moving forward. But for me, definitely a lot of guilt and shame has been like the toughest thing. And I think that goes hand in hand with forgiveness is like, I don't always feel forgiven because sometimes I feel like my sins or like my issues are bigger, right? Which is such a slap in the face to God. He's like, girl, nothing's too big for me. Like, you're good. But like, I still will feel like that. Like, and that's how like the enemy will come in my mind and mess with me. And so but I think it's cool because God took me through a season where I couldn't be physically alone because of my circumstances, but he took me through like a mental wilderness where I was very mentally alone. And there, because like I said, I was searching for me, it was an identity issue. When I found my identity in Christ, I was able to really renew my mind. And now when those thoughts come, I'm able to speak back to it and like stand firm and being like, nope, this is what he says now. Like, this is not the person that I am anymore. Like, yes, I made those mistakes and yes, I did them. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't change that I did them, but I'm not going to let that hold me down because now I'm this new person and I get to show up as that person. And that's beautiful.
Really quick before, I don't know how long you want to keep going for, but there was a comment you made about like shame and guilt and whatnot. And I think when people feel like that, because as Christians, you always feel like that, especially when you slip up. If you're like, I've been reading my Bible every day. I haven't been swearing. I haven't been doing all the things that you want to keep doing. And then something happens and you slip up and whatever. And that happened in my relationship. And I felt unworthy I let him down in a way. And it's not anything crazy. It's just like, it was just a little slip of just normal things. And I felt like I wasn't worthy enough to like pray over him because we pray. I was praying every morning for us. And I felt like I wasn't worthy enough to pray over him. And it's in those moments where like you need to pray more. Like I felt so like down and shameful about myself. But that's when you need to pray more. That's when you need to like go a little bit harder and like bring yourself back up to
Yeah.
that. Like I was telling him, like, I was like, I don't feel worthy enough to pray over you right now. And he was like, why? I was like, because I have so much like shame and I feel bad and I have guilt and I don't think that you deserve like me to speak. Like I didn't feel deserving.
But that's such a testament to the enemy and how he messes with us, because he also makes us believe sometimes that it's on us.
Right.
But then we have to remind ourselves that like there's nothing we could do to deserve God's grace. Like that's the point of it, is like we're only worthy because of what Jesus did. So it's more about just learning who he is. And through learning and trusting that he is who he says he is, that's when we're changed. And that's when we truly understand. And then when you get that understanding where you're no longer like, oh, I have to, like, again, going back to the rules, I just have to forgive people or else I'm going to go to hell. You know what I mean? But instead, it's like, no, I actually have forgiveness for things that like I should not have forgiveness for. Like Jesus decided to die for me even though I don't deserve it. And when you truly understand and get that revelation, you start to actually be changed in your heart. And you're like, oh, I actually, like you said, you're feeling, you understand and you can empathize and have compassion for other people because you see them now as just hurting people that also need deliverance, that also need forgiveness, that also need that understanding and that love from God. They're just people that were once children and grew up, and they didn't get what they deserved either, you know? And that breaks God's heart as well. So it's so beautiful that like now we get to show up as like these people that have been changed and redeemed and still fall here and there, but have that understanding where we can get back up now, you know, and encourage other people too.
Get up and pray. Prayer is so important.
So important.
I think we're... That was so awkward. No, well, it is important because you were just saying how, like, when you, we already talked about it. We don't need to go into it.
Whatever.
I don't know. Should we clap it down?
I think that's a wrap. Do you have anything else to say?
I don't know. I don't know if I have anything else to touch on.
All right.
I think we're good.
We're good.
And
cut. What is it?
I
swear that's the beginning. That's what you do when you're starting.
I don't know.
We always do it to end.
At the end last time.